Yes, sir.
There is competition between the banks of this region now to introduce new technology. For example, there was a bank that introduced the eye.
Retinal scan?
Yes, a new bank. So and other banks are going the same way.
Right?
My question is that are actually the banks at this region at Palestine following the way that the international banks are going, or are they left behind? From your perspective, how you see it?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that because I don't know. I think the answer is probably. Yes?
Let's blame it on the occupation.
That's wonderful. I would imagine that really big advances like retinal scan that have a lot of capital involved in deploying them are not cutting edge, but they're out there a little bit. That are going to be larger banks, more well-capitalized banks, banks that have more resources are going to be the ones that deploy those. It's not going to be something that's going to be easily or commonly done by many banks. So whether it's Palestine or any place else, if the bank is undercapitalized or too small to have that kind of resource, they would be less likely to adopt, I think. Say again? Zika, do you or any of you all have questions?
No, very interesting and exciting to look at it, but no, thank you.
Okay. We've had a few jokes over here, but
Yeah, I think you know the joke. That's the only thing that bothers me at this point.
any other questions or discussion or comments? Or
If I understand you right, of course, I just want to say that what you are talking about, most of what you are talking about, actually doesn't exist here. I have a bank account here, and I have one in the United States.
right.
The one, of course, I can do all the fun stuff that you talk about in the United States, but here I don't even. My bank doesn't have even an internet connection.
Right.
So there's a big gap.
There is.
My question is, are you saying that if we have an idea for a bank, for banking idea, how can we, here from Palestine, how can we access that bank, for example, in the United States or in other areas? Is that, and how can we protect our ideas? Can we put patents on these ideas? Are they patentable? Can we put a patent on them?
If you have IP, if you have defensible IP property, yes, of course you can. You can get IP protection in any country, including the United States, if you've got something that's been developed and go through the process. And that's not really that, it's not that difficult. But the question about linkages, I think we could use you as use Dr. Yahya as an example. Find an opportunity, develop a beta product or something that looks like a beta product, and then either link yourself to local regional banks that you can get to easily, or we're building a network of mentors and EIRs that link into the Palestinian community, working through those, say, we need to take you to see the guy at the Visa payment system. So it's step number one is to have the notion, the breakthrough idea, what are you going to do, and have something to be able to go and say, here's the thing that I would like to do, here's what it does, here's how it's better than the others. And I think if you do that through Badaya or any of the other systems that we're setting up, we can link you to the right people, set you up to have conversations and screening and evaluation conversations, or if you have an idea, set you up with a conversation with somebody in that process in the States and just vet it, talk it through, see if it works.
Another question that is not related to this, you were talking about the banks in the United States. Are they now, the idea of sharing information among banks, how developed, how mature is this idea? And how much are they willing to go to share information among each other?
Not that much. So, which it really is an opportunity for aggregators. So suppose, just to make up an example, if you have two banks, you got half your relationship at one, half at another, those two banks are not going to share that information between themselves. You can, banks will, and this is fine, set up places where you can go in and enter on their site the information you have at another bank, and vice versa. So you can put it in there. They won't share it. Mint.com was created because people had multiple banking relationships and the banks would not share it. But Mint.com can sit up here and say, go to this bank, go to this bank, and go to this bank, and pull all of your information into one place. And so instead of going to the bank, you go to Mint, and there you have your relationship. And that's where somebody saw the opportunity for PFM, Personal Financial Management, because there was a problem with the banks, they did it this way. The same thing could happen with just having one bank account here that doesn't have an internet connection and a banking account somewhere else. Mint.com, for example, could answer that problem. Though I think there's better answers out there than that, for you in particular. So, but I'm sorry, but if you take that situation and say, I don't like that. I don't like that situation at all. What would a better answer be that gives banking people, consumers control, more access, and a way to better manage that money? What would it be? And the answer might not right now be, I don't know. So, and there's the opportunity to start creating an answer to a problem.
It goes against security most of the time.
Goes against what?
Security. Because, for example, if I have more than one bank account, I would like to make, to log once for all my accounts. If that's possible, that's maybe in the future or something. But, and to compare and to compete between the two banks, where if I want to get a loan from this bank or that bank, instead of having multiple accounts, and instead of contacting more than one bank for a loan, I can make the decision within minutes instead of days. And
Well, MoneyTree, MoneyTree lending. That's, people said the exact same thing. There's so many people out there with loans, and I want, so MoneyTree was created. It said how much you want to borrow, and ask for a few questions, and it goes, looks at every lending possibility in the country, brings you back the best offers. That I could see somebody, if somebody were really smart, I'm making this up, so this is not real, but suppose you got $100 and there are 50 banks out there and they pay between 20 basis points and 80 basis points on deposits. Well, and it changes every day. Well, you can't every day get up and say, okay, I'm going to move money from this bank to that one to get another 10 basis points. But what if you had an account where somebody goes, how's your money? And every day it could just look out there and say, I'm going to put this over here and this over here, and I'm going to evaluate it. And at the end of the day, I'll bring it all back. And then that night, I'll look at the best offers and put it all back. Well, you can. It's called a sweep account. So the cool part about the way you're thinking is every problem that shows up, whether it's security or anything, every one of those problems is an innovation waiting to happen. Every one of them. I think. Just about every one of them is. Some of them you think about it and you go, I'm not sure about that, how to do that. And some of them are pretty intractable.